Alright. So, um, I agree with atheists. Um, I agree with atheism. I'm so on their side. Why? Because I am a pantheist and slash agnostic. Um, I realize that every single instance of divinity throughout our society is awesome and serves a purpose. And so um, I I don't do research. I don't try to you know um, figure out that that every god is true. Um, I know that every god was true at some point, you know, which actually is very very much a fuck a liberating experience when you realize that every account of a divine being, Amaterasu, Kali, um, Astarte, Mary, uh, the ones account, yes, they are all legit because if anybody cares, there was an action that was altered um, by uh, these aspects of divinity. I have no choice but to realize that there is divinity. And atheists are awesome because they provide a counter argument that there is no divinity. Um, and I'm not going to be um, somebody who's an asshole and say, hey, if you believe that there isn't an aspect of divinity that we should follow, um, then you are in any way uh, deficient. My personal beliefs are that divinity exists regardless of how you want to look at it. Divinity exists, yeah, which is good for me because there are reasons, viewpoints, and um, choices that I have made that have been influenced by divinity. Hooray. And there are like uh, influences, reasons, and choices that people have made because they are unaware um, and doing the facts, and they have come up with the answer that there is no divinity. That's good too. Um, okay, so if if we are like me, believers in divinity, um, you know, which I guess happen to be legit, um, and um, we are focused on one aspect of one archetype that's divine, which is always, every single time, it's the wrong one, but it's the one that we as a human identify with. Bully free. You have to realize that if you believe in God, you believe that there is um, an idea of divinity, within humans. And so I have just rejected the idea that any perspective upon divinity is true. Unfortunately, I am also driven and influenced by the presence of divinity. So I have to. It's a bitch because monks, religious scholars, they 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 understand that they have to do research on one aspect of divinity. I am so not that fortunate. I have to look for God everywhere. It's, exhausting. It's work. I have to find God in a dog, a cat, um, a whole bunch of water, um, a whole bunch of sand, a whole bunch of things that are comprised of matter, and I have to look at that and go, "Where's God?" Most of the time, I find a wonderful answer. So, and that only reinforces my belief that there is God, because my whole existence has been engineered with the intention of where's God? I have to find God, which has led to a whole bunch of benefits and fucking problems. Um, I'm like always looking for something divine in whatever these eyes see, regardless of whether it's good or bad. I I I said something in my last video about child murder, um, and I released a video about child murder forever ago, and then I had to watch that a whole bunch of times, look for God, um, and then go, "Oof, okay." So if you've seen that video, and you've seen my you know take on the fact that I just you know released a child video forever ago upon child murder, um, that had no basis in reality, and yet I actually had to look at that and then disseminate, dissemble, and dissect what happened, uh, and then explain in horrifying detail the exact repercussions and consequences upon me, which nobody gives a fuck about, because I am um, catchphrase violently ignored. Whatever. So like when I explain shit in context, because we always want things explained to us in the context that in the vein that they have been displayed. So I am alleging that atheists are the best priests that we have, because they're the ones who make us understand uh, what God is not. So, you know, if we do the math, taking little bits of what divinity is not and throwing them away, and making you watch them taking little bits of what's not divinity and throwing it away, that is your picture of divinity. That's the best thing. Um, that humans can do is to strip away your idea of what you think God is. Because unfortunately, I have not come across an aspect of divinity that didn't have shit to pictures of divinity. Aspects, they're all pictures in my head, unless they are sound bites, which are awesome too. I am not aware of a image of divinity that didn't have something to edit. I'm not aware of a God that didn't need editing. And I've been looking for a while, you know. And my picture of God is never, never going to be clear. It's always going to be filled with illusions, phantasms, and fun things, which validate me as a person, and yet do no justice to the divinity that I'm looking at. Hooray! I'm a human, and that's kind of what we do. And there was a study or some kind of scientific data that that was released saying humans have no choice but to believe in divinity. I understand that, and so uh, I understand that, and I believe that. And so the ones who are denying a basic facet of humanity are because there are a lot of basic facets of humanity, and most of them aren't moral. They are, um, efficient and effective and important to survival as humans forever ago. I get that. Um, but we are not forever ago humans. We are humans that exist now. So we do need to train ourselves out of things that are not okay. They were okay forever ago. They're not okay now because as humans, we are trying to figure out and combine ourselves with divinity, and divinity has never ever been understood as human. It's kind of the definition of divinity. So I get that. We need to train ourselves in ways that are called different things. Ramadan. um, there's some kind of Christian holiday that we don't do shit. I believe that's Christmas. We just like no matter what we give, that would be Christmas, and Thanksgiving. If we're doing the math, and Easter, we resolve to not be human and be TV channels of divinity in whatever way we can be. Christmas being the most important and relevant. We all, as humans, upon Christmas, decide that we are not going to beat our children, that we're going to give them gifts, in whatever context that is relevant. So, hooray. There are all kinds of instances where humans are not allowed to be humans and gross and slimy. We are supposed to be as divine as we can be. Which there should be more of those. There are some growing up that I was told are more important and are just as relevant as America's, because I grew up in Hawaii. So Prince Kohua Day was a big deal. It was the advent of a prince, and he had a day that celebrated him, and we all stayed home and had a blast, which is most of the time what holidays are. You know, if we look at a British definition of the word holiday, it means that we're just, no matter how cushy our life is, we're gonna go somewhere else and have a different kind of fun. Holiday. Um, and atheists, if we are doing definitions and and um, in good lights, because definitions are always uh, susceptible to opinion, which is, the most horrifying thing about reality that there is. There are definitions, and then we can take that and twist that. So I get that. Hooray. That's kind of been my bread and butter as well, to keep me alive. We are human beings. We have instincts, goals, and a job to do as a human being. And we more or less are influenced by the fact that there is something else that you know wants us to be better, regardless of what that thing is. So we do that, and we operate under those principles. I do. I'm just unfortunately influenced by a whole bunch of shit that may or may not be necessary, and yet I am influenced, and so I accept that, which is, horrifying. Atheists are like the vegans of the brain. They decide that despite what we are systematically and logically programmed to do, which is in no way logical, because I believe that, and I'll speak from where I'm coming from. Atheists believe that yes, and they believe that yes, my responses in my head are to attribute awesome things to something that's not me, which is what the definition of divinity is. It's being unable to attribute something awesome happening to you, because we're all masochists. Atheists believe no, there is no uh, attribution necessary. So, theists believe that there's awesome things that happen that are not attributable to you, and yet have to be attributed to something that we want to see, and or we've seen, and or is outside of us. Pantheists are unable to attribute anything to themselves, and they have to find all kinds of fucked up things that may or may not be there, and they hate themselves the most, because a lightning strike, uh, viewing or witnessing a lightning strike is awesome because you're the viewer, and yet there are all kinds of ways that you can interpret the reason for it. Science, which is the God, and it happens to be the most legit one, and yet the most misunderstood and hated uh, format of divinity that we have. Hooray. And then there is, when a pantheist sees lightning bolt, he's going, which one threw that? Was it Zeus? Was it Thor? Was it Susanoo? Was it Raiden? Where did it come from? And then, there's confusion, which is legit and way more relevant in the scheme of things than a Christian or a Muslim who goes, that was a lightning bolt, it was sent by Allah, or Yahweh, or somebody. that was sent, a lightning bolt, was sent by that person, period. Pantheists are, they have to figure out which aspect of divinity sent that lightning bolt, and we have to like search, and it's work. Atheists, who are the best people because they are the antithesis of insane pantheists. Um, they go, that was contributed and or viewed and or it was the responsibility for that lightning bolt was protons and electrons, which is true, more true than a theist who said that God, struck a tree, or a pantheist who really can't figure out in which name that lightning bolt happened. So, I am alleging that atheists are the ones that really have to do the least work. So they are, I guess, able to do more important things like fix shit and pass legislation and make our lives better as humans. Theists, they have a bunch of work to do. Going, the lightning bolt was from Allah or Yahweh or anybody. Um, that it didn't happen to not come from, regardless of what I believe. So they get to see a lightning bolt. Boom. Um, God did something awesome. Atheists see the aspect of a lightning bolt and go, that just happened. There's no more thought involved. Pantheists have to scramble and go, I have to analyze the color, the length, the importance, the relevance, every single factor that I have that contributes to my insanity. We have to do the equations. So pantheists are the ones that have to do the most work. Atheists are the ones that have to do the least work. Theists are the ones that have to do a moderate amount of work, which is, a definition in the word power or strength or whatever. Atheists are stronger than theists because they are allowed to not think about divinity, and that's work as well. Theists are the ones who have the easiest job. They just have to go, okay, God did that. Pantheists are the ones that really have no time to do anything else because they're working so hard that it's ridiculous. So it's insane and fun. And being a pantheist, I am not allowed to um, attribute a divine, thing that occurs. And if you're a real pantheist, you're not able to understand that there is something that's not divine that has occurred. And atheists are the ones that keep me in check. Theists are the ones that actually get to ignore both sides, and go team go. But pantheists and atheists are like at opposite ends of the spectrum, and they need each other. An atheist argument directly halts a pantheist's job, which is awesome. And a pantheist argument puts an atheist's job into question because atheists can argue with theists all the time, and they're always right. An atheist is not allowed to have a discussion where there where there is a victor um, with a pantheist, which is horrifying for atheists when an atheist is confronted by the idea that yes, divinity exists, and no matter what happens, there is divinity, and I'm not allowed to call divinity divinity in any word other than divinity. Atheists are flabbergasted. They're like, okay, so I attribute every occurrence that happens without God, and a pantheist will go, yes, good to know. But I attribute every occurrence with an aspect of divinity behind it. And so it's a much funner debate when an atheist can go, there is no cause for the lightning bolts, and I say, oh, well, there is Thor, there is Zeus, there's Yahweh, there's Jehovah, there's Lucifer. There's all kinds of things, and we can break it down during the circumstances of why that lightning bolt happened. It's exhausting for atheists. Love their job. Pantheists are forced into a job. Theists, get hired based upon an application, which is good. Um, so atheists have just as much of a difficult task to do their thing when faced with a pantheist. And atheists are just kind of caught in the middle going, what? Uh, I just want to mop floors. I just want to pick up cigarette butts, which is good, bully for them. And fortunately, most human beings are theists. Hooray! They are spared the work that atheists and pantheists do. And yes, screwdriver. I got some food today. That's some orange juice. Aren't we glad that I don't have to take vodka and water shots? Just, like, I am. And, atheists will go, hooray. And then theists will go, hooray. And then pantheists will go, hooray. And God says, you're welcome. And I'm like, as me, I go team, go.